Hello, Schrodinger's audience. Welcome back to, or not back to, a game of Die. We are playing the second session. We've just recapped safety tools before starting play. And we're going to go into the second session of 3, because we've pushed to 3 sessions because we were enjoying it that much. I'm just going to basically go around the group, introduce our who we are in real life, and our persona we're playing. I'm Kieran, using he, him. I wrote the game, so I abstractly know a lot about it, although, as will be demonstrated, less than you think. I play Moira. Moira is the person who ran this game back at this international school. Moira's intense, heavily into geek stuff, queer, very religious, appears to have remained closeted for the entire life. It's up in the air how queer anyone knew I was in that way. And I've got everyone back together for one last game, and I somehow was the one person who wasn't surprised when we've all ended up transported to a fantasy world, specifically our teenage fantasy world, the Neon Shadowlands. Max, do you introduce yourself at Onyx?
Hi, I'm Max. I use they, them, and I'm an illustrator. I'm playing Onyx. As a teenager, I was extremely goth, and I've just fallen out of everything that I love. So in the game, I played the Neo, and I'm living, Onyx is living their goth fantasy.
That's marvelous. Ella, tell us about Reese and yourself.
Yes, Reese is much more interesting. I'm Ella, my pronouns are she, her. I'm a game designer and podcast producer. And Reese is my character. He uses he, they pronouns. They were a straight A student at school, but they had this big old insecurity that they weren't great at generating their own original thought, which is part of why they became so enchanted by Moira. As an adult, he managed to get away from his hometown, but found that wasn't really the answer that he was looking for. Has become very lonely, still has a goldfish. Has kind of is feeling extremely concerned about the present situation, I would say. However, I think to let the audience in on something that I don't think Reese has told the other characters yet, might be very obvious to Onyx and Colette, but I think he's mostly concerned about Moira because he's still seeing her again and seeing her do the thing that she did that made him fall in love with her in the first place. Reese, they're quite gotta find Moira, gotta make sure she's okay.
That's fantastic. And Ava, tell us about yourself and Colette.
Cool. I am Ava. She or they pronouns are great for me. I write and talk about board games and do an anarchist admin and accountancy on the side, which I don't entirely know how I got this life. But right now I am being Colette or Letty, who was in somewhat obnoxious, but something going on underneath. Stuck up kid at school, or the illusion of being stuck up at school, who everything fell apart when everyone went to university and she realized that she couldn't and was stuck in the town, and so is now kind of stuck between having desperately wanted this kind of escapist world and to be somewhere completely different. So is quite excited to be in the world of Die, but also is kind of trying to keep up appearances whilst not quite being sure whether she can successfully commit to that, as represented by some fabulous feathery gold-piped armor. No, neon-piped armor, I remember, yeah.
Yes, very visual metaphors. That's what we do. One minor detail I'll add to since I did take notes. Worth noting about Colette's parents that they either died or disappeared. I don't think we actually completely established how or why, but I just mentioned they basically left Colette in a very fiscally dangerous situation because they lost the house. Because some financial situation meant the house didn't inherit to Colette and Colette's older sibling. I just mentioned that because it's Colette's got this kind of quite. Everyone's got teenage mess, but Colette had the the real sort of comment that struck her, I think. So just re-establishing some of that, I think, is quite useful.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think we can now actually start playing Die properly. I think that scream sounds like a volunteer. Ella,
Oh God.
do you recognise this?
Yes.
This is Reese's D12. It's the only D12 in the world. There's no other D12. This is Reese's. Use it well, Godbinder. Well, Colette. Colette. This is Colette's D8. This is the only D8 in the world. Use it well, Emotion Knight.
Oh.
Max. This is Onx's D10. This is the only D10 in the world. Use it well, Neo. And this one is mine. Okay, we're going to pick up exactly where last time, where you all burst through a trapdoor in the middle of a bar, which you recognised as the bar you started your first ever adventure in the Neon Shadowlands. Max, I'm going to ask you a question. What does Onx remember the name of the bar to be?
Oh my God. So we started our first adventure here, right?
Yeah.
Oh. What about the Roost?
The Roost is great. Marvellous. Okay, Colette. Ava. How does Colette recognise that you're in the Roost? What is it specifically about the decor or the setup or something? Oh my God, this is the Roost. What's the thing that gave the game away?
Just over by the fireplace, there is a like hunched over old man who is playing a kind of like hurdy-gurdy thing and has a little newt dancing, and like that you just wouldn't see that anywhere else, right? Like that's impossible.
Yeah, that's definitely like Moira, that bit where Moira described the dancing newt and the entire table got distracted. Wait, a dancing newt? And most of the adventure was talking to the dancing newt, I imagine. Yeah, that one makes perfect sense. Ella, look, you played this sort of classic fantasy RPG back in the day. What was Reese's character? What was Reese's character like?
Oh man, damn, interesting.
You can keep it broad if you. No, I said say what you like, but I'd say you can keep it broad or you can be hyper specific.
No, I think that they. Interesting. Okay, here's what I think. I think that back in the day, they was fantasy, like Colette was doing, trying to like do something completely different to what she has to do outside this room. I think Reese also wanted that. So I think they probably played like a sorcerer who was kind of like your classic kind of like bit of a scoundrel, very loud, very talkative, very like breaking rules, not really being very helpful, being quite chaotic. Like I think Reese was tempted to go with like a wizard and kind of being very schooled and memorizing everything and doing it, but actually like he wanted to just do, and they probably played like a him scoundrel sorcerer, classic like punch him with fireballs. Because that was like his version of like letting their hair down, and then like so I think that was probably the kind of character they used to play.
That's great. I must say, and have you got a name for him?
Oh, Nathaniel.
Nathaniel.
Nice.
Okay, you're standing there in the bar. You're looking around. It's a classic fantasy bar, apart from the dancing newts, who are, the hurdy-gurdy music fills the air with a slight it's weird. They play the hurdy-gurdy device, but it's got an undertone of weird, discordant ambient techno. So it's playing it, but as you're doing it, it's the wrong noise sort of is like forming these harmonies. In fact, not really harmonies. It's not the right word, but certainly resonances. And the newt is dancing, and the newt is dancing in a very like a modern art style. It's not like this is like lots of angulars. This is really a genuinely striking newt. And then behind the bar, clearing glasses, there's somebody you actually weirdly recognise. Is a scoundrel, probably got a patch over one eye. Whether actually they have a patch or not is it's Nathaniel, who's 20 years older and looking over at you. Can you just shut the trapdoor, please? You're going to let a breeze in here. Come on, adventurers, hide. Shut the trapdoor, quickly.
Reese is blushing up to the tips of their ears, like they are so red right now, and also like jaw open, frozen. They're not going to be very useful in the next 3 seconds. They're just like...
Colette kind of dramatically slams the trapdoor down and like rests the trident on it in a kind of like fierce warrior pose.
Nathaniel just nods back at both all of you. Thank you very much. I know it's very difficult for adventurers nowadays, but like you know, it is how it is. And the newt gets very cold if you let the breeze come in from the underground. Everyone's sort of panic. Onks, what are you making of all this?
Oh, I'm just looking at Reese and I'm like looking at Colette and going like, I have never seen them this red.
Shut up! Okay.
Oh, this is delightful. We need to go talk to this person right now.
Absolutely not.
Hi.
No, we need to find...
Hi, it's so nice to meet you. Oh my god, my friend here thinks you're just really big. Is it the big?
I hate you so much.
Dashing. I think dashing.
Shut up. No. Oh.
Well, to be honest, I used to be involved in a dashing career. You know what I mean? Like, I think my dashing days are long behind me. You know, it comes to us all. You need to sort of learn when to settle down and, you know, run a bar, I guess.
Yeah.
Actually, I was about to say, Nathaniel snorts at that. Please, I've sold out, but I haven't sold out that much. What are your names? What can I get you? You must be thirsty.
I'm Onyx, and I'll have whatever's cheapest. This is my very good friend Reese.
Onyx. Okay. I'll have an oil slick, please.
You got it.
And have you seen a person come through here, kind of white latex crucifix?
I think I would have remembered that, wouldn't I?
Yeah, I think you would.
It's your fix. And he turns to Colette. What about you, person who's having trouble with the ceiling?
I'm Colette. I'll have something red and thick and expensive.
Red, thick, and expensive are things we can do. Like, you look behind, and a lot of the drinks are red. It's a symphony of reds. Like Onyx's teenage, anything which wasn't black, all those different exciting red colours in this kind of way. And he starts mixing a variety of stuff for people. I'm preparing just... What is an oil slick, by the way, Reese? I find myself interested.
I just thought it would be cool if we had kind of our own fantasy alcohols that we as teenagers fantasized about having in our library at school. So I'm imagining...
Yeah, I was going to say, that sounds fantastic. Please tell me what an oil slick's made out of then. What ingredients?
Yeah,
Is it...
So I think it's like kind of your Neon Shadowlands version of like a beer that is pitch black, and then, you know, has this iridescent kind of coloring on top that makes it look like an oil slick, hence the name. But I feel like maybe the way that Moira described it was that it was like it was mostly like a stout, except that it had this kind of like almost floral fragrance to it that just twisted it and made it different and weird in a kind of way. And like, I'm kind of imagining her describing it as like giving us this feeling, you know, when the best fantasy food and drink gives you that feeling. And the idea is that like everyone here drinks these, and you drink it because you get that darkness, you get that kind of sweetness and richness, but then at the end you just get this rush, and it's that kind of exhilarating cyberpunk, being on a motorbike kind of rush.
Yeah, it feels like and he pours. He basically pours you all on oil slick. Colette's got a red oil slick, you know, which is a slightly different vibe. Enjoy your drink. Let's say,
Sorry, I was going to say Reese is going to grab, well, not grab Colette, but is going to kind of wave at Colette and grab Onyx, who has kind of been muscling them around, and it's kind of usher you both over to like a table that looks slightly away from the patrons, and then just like lean in, like kind of gesture for you to sit down. Do you sit down?
Yeah.
Do you sit down, Colette, or do you?
Yeah. No,
hard cut to everyone gathered around the table, like with your drinks in front of you. You haven't had a sip yet, and the music's still playing this the slightly discordant techno hurdy-gurdy. Hard cut to, I believe Reese wants to make a speech at the table.
that Nathaniel is me. Well, not me, but me. My character from when, and we all recognize the Newts. I assume we recognize the Newts.
I
Wait, so
remember them. Oh, sorry.
If that's you, is that why you fancy him?
No, I don't fancy him.
Oh, sorry.
You don't need to apologize. I didn't mean to come off short. Sorry, Colette. I'm just very flustered right now.
Because you don't fancy him.
No, because I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
That is what 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old me thought was cool, I guess. Oh, this is so embarrassing.
Yeah. He shouts across the room, I heard that. And I'm very hurt.
No, you're not, because I know I made you with a bigger ego than that. Oh, I work at W.H. Smith's. I don't have an eye patch. What?
I mean,
Get you an eye patch.
Well, yeah, exactly. We can get you an eye patch.
What is this supposed to mean?
Probably that you have some like weird psychological issues.
Pot.
Oh,
Kettle.
I mean,
yeah. Listen,
look at what we're drinking. Look at it's the bloody new, and the music is really better than I had ever imagined. But like, we're there, aren't we? Like this, we're there, right? We're where we used to go. We're where we used to go all the time.
It feels like we are.
I mean, if
just
Nate's here.
So what would we do? What would we have done? What do we do now? Do we find a quest? Are we looking for a quest? Are we
A job board?
A job board. There's got to be something,
I was about
right?
to say, you mention that, you turn over to the fireplace behind the dancing newt, you go up, there's a job board. Exactly like that. Hard cut to everyone by the job board. As you're heading over there, Nathaniel gives a shout in that kind of like, hey, if you can read the weird one, tell us what's there's a weird one that's up there. If you can read it, give us a shout. None of us can.
Oh, that's protagonist bait, baby.
Okay, Colette, Onyx is obviously eating this up. Colette, how are you feeling about this? I mean, I feel like, I would have assumed that your life has been kind of more normal. How has your life been? We haven't spoken in years.
Oh, life's great. Yeah, life's great. Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, no, everything's going great for me. Obviously, like I was just on the perfect trajectory, and I've just carried on that way. But I don't know. This is it, right? This is what we dreamed of. Yeah, like I remember these worlds. I remember this place. I remember that new. I remember. Yeah, we're here. This is it. We can do anything here, right?
I mean,
right?
I remember the newt wearing like a little fancy outfit, but I think that might just be like me misremembering it. But otherwise, this is. Whew.
I kind of say at this moment you glance over to the newt, and like the newt has stopped its dance. It's getting dressed again. It's the Neon Shadowlands after dark.
Okay, so fuck? Was that mute naked? Who's
It
the
was.
target audience for this mute?
Wait, Onyx. Before we get too distracted by the mutes.
Again.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, do you guys remember that first game? I don't think we ever actually moved past the mutes, and Moira was so mad, and she was trying not to show it. Oh, okay, both of you. I want it. You both seem excited about this, and I want to be excited about this. Maybe this is a once-in-a-lifetime hallucination. Maybe we all died of spontaneous heart attacks, and this is the afterlife. I have rent to pay and a job I don't want to lose, and I don't know how long if this is real, I don't know how long we have. So can one of you please give me like the hard sell on why I should be enjoying this and not just trying to get home?
I don't think Moira's ever steered us wrong.
Hard cut. I would like everyone to remember a time that Moira steered you wrong. As I say, I want to see the actual flash cut around the people's hair. As in, everyone has an individual flashback. I would like to know a moment. Like, who goes first? Ella goes first, then Ava, then Max. Like, just like literally the hard cut away. Just doesn't have to be a big thing, but a moment when you're like, oh, that was a problem.
Oh, I think can it be an IRL thing as well as a game thing?
Oh yeah, definitely. In fact, definitely. Or it can be either, but I would prefer real life stuff than game stuff.
Okay. I think that Reese was trying to get to know Moira better because they were quite fixated on her, and so they were trying to like hang out with her as I mean, they weren't fooling anyone, but as an ostensibly woman, like girl, whatever. So they went to a Sunday mass with her at her very Catholic church, and they went with, their extremely short hair and their quite mask clothes, and they're not really even being aware that they're being gender non-conforming, but very much being gender non-conforming. And just, they did not realize how much this group of people would not be down for that until they were there. And then they were in this Catholic mass for like 2.5 hours, and they were just like, oh, I shouldn't. And like, Moira had been like, don't worry about it. And so accepting, and, God forgives, and, it's a welcoming community. And Reese just spends the whole like time just going, oh, I should not have come here. I should not be here.
I can definitely see that. There's a sinner, that kind of like, yeah, I can see that image perfectly. Ava, what about Colette?
I kind of don't know how to go because I think that, obviously, so Colette just completely avoided Moira outside of the thing, but I imagine there's something where, I just need something where like Moira like just drops Colette into it without quite letting Colette know. Like pushes her into the wrong classroom or and it's something like quite mundane, but it was just this little attempt to kind of like undermine Colette's like carefully manicured image, but I can't actually think of it.
I've got a suggestion. You can always ask the table in that way. I've got a suggestion. Maybe she just lends you a book and you don't realize the book is loaded. You know what I mean? That kind of like as in, you should read this. This is good for you. And you don't. That kind of like, why the hell are you reading whatever this book is? You know what I mean? That kind of, and you're like, and it could be any. There could be literally any. Like, you should like June. It's no, that kind of.
Yeah. No, I can see that. Like Colette being stuck reading like some like weird, obscure filth, literary filth. Is what I'm picturing at this point, and then like getting caught with it and being like, what on earth is that? Someone looking over the shoulder and seeing like some I'm picturing the story of the eye for some reason. So
that's fantastic. No, great. I was going to say that because we had that bit memory last time when like Moira just completely lied for Colette to cover for her. Like so it's interesting. The push and pull there is really fun for me. Max, what about Onks? What's the moment you think of with her?
Oh, I think we so do you guys think we had like game sessions on holidays or only during school times?
I feel like that's a question for Moira and Colette. Because I feel like you guys would have had the
Yeah.
hardest time actually getting there.
Yeah.
I reckon. Yes, but like either it was like literally once, or it was like there would always be like one thing each summer, which would be like the one, and like everyone would be pretending that well, sorry, not everyone. Colette would be pretending that wasn't like absolutely the highlight of the summer.
Oh.
But yeah, it was there.
I kind of love the once a summer thing for
Yeah,
like the
that
emotional.
that makes sense to me. It's like, oh, school's about to start again, so we might as well like let's meet once to get our characters back together and like just recap what happened before we went on break.
See, that's interesting because I was imagining it as like the middle of the holidays, and for all of us, it being this kind of like hump of like once you get there, then you're closer to the other side, and you're gonna, and then you don't have so long to go, and so like you go out and it's just like okay, the worst 2 weeks or the 2 weeks before the game, and then you get the game, and then from there it's just downhill until you're back again, and like we all have this.
Can I square the difference? I think they're both great ideas. I'm going to suggest as in we had a midsummer thing, and it's literally the midsummer moment, and then there's also that we got back to school like a few days early. You know, so like the school it was just it was getting into character, so we can have both of those things. And
there's like a teacher training day, and we would smuggle ourselves in every time.
Yes, so, oh, I love that.
And then the midsummer was like a sleepover, and like the only time Moira got out of their house over the summer is like was allowed to do something outside of the stricter thing. If that's all right, does that make sense? I don't know if that's really Moira.
Would it make sense to like? Oh, sorry. I got excited. But would it make sense that Onyx and Reese took it in turns hosting the midsummer thing? Because I'm guessing Colette and Moira, for different reasons, might not have been able to host.
But that's great.
I always promised it. I always promised that you'd one day come to the estate and see, and we'd be waited on hand and foot. But it never happened.
I bet Onyx's room was like way better than my place. Like my place, I would give you like, PG tips, and I would kind of put you down in quite like a very boring room with nothing on the walls. And then I'm imagining Onyx's as like band posters and like black duvet. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And I do love this social history. Especially go back 2 questions. Onyx, what was the time that that Moira led you wrong though, particularly related to this?
So, it's the one, it was the one, the session right before school started again. And I was agonizing over picking like I feel like we had some class, I don't know how school works here, but like there were classes that like were not mandatory and you got to pick one, right? And I was agonizing over it. And Moira was like, oh, you should definitely, like, math is like an easy pass. You should really try for math because really they just give you the grade just for showing up, right? And I'm like, oh, I do need an A, right? Like I need to round out my grades. And it was absolutely my worst grade. I did fine everywhere else and it just tanked my average.
That's one of that final report card being pushed to you is that image there. So we burnt through this a variety of like these momentary scenes, and then we hard cut back to the bar. And that so when did Moira ever lead you on? And it's like, well, we're here now. We've got the drinks.
But I think that Colette says that, and that is the one thing that would convince Reese though, because despite this like memory flashing up, Reese fucking really, really loves and trusts Moira in many different ways. And it's just, so Colette says, when has Moira ever led us wrong? And Reese just like visibly relaxes. And it's like, okay.
That's great.
So protagonist quest then, I guess. And hey, Nathaniel, I want another drink, but this one, can you maybe give it a little heat, little fire?
I can't do that. I can't really do that anymore, I'm afraid.
Oh, come on, just for old time's sake.
Okay. That's it. Let me just take it out back and I'll see what I can do. Like, you know what? It's like adventurers are in trouble in this lounge. You do like he leans in with you. You do know that adventurers, like we can't be entirely open on being adventurous here.
Look at everyone else. Was that something that we remember from our old game?
Absolutely not.
That's new.
Whoa. Okay. Sorry. Is there somewhere more private we can talk, Nathaniel?
He sort of pauses. I'll take you up. Like, I'll take you down the steps to the bar, the cellar, and we can have a word.
I'm going to grab the weird one off the job board.
Yes.
That's a great idea. You're going down the steps so you can read it, and I'm going to read it. You go down the steps, and the thing, perhaps weirdly, I suppose this is both weird but also expectedly weird. This is more like a magic house trick because you're going down the stairs and it's somewhere else. You know, it's like that place you came from just ain't there anymore. And it's now just a cellar full of like all the oil slick ingredients, these beautiful red barrels.
Are we about? Is Nate about to murder us? Like, was that?
That's not his style.
Yeah. Okay.
Rob us blind, maybe, but
That's
not
fine.
so much for the.
We don't have anything, so.
No, in fact, only crime of passion. That's all I am here. That's my thing. He pours a drink and he lights them all.
Oh.
Still got it. He just sort of shrugs.
Nice.
And pass the drinks around. By the way, Colette, you can get to read this, and I'm going to read you what it reads to you.
Okay.
To all players, it says, to go home, all players must gather together and each say, the game is over. To stay, all players must gather together and each say, the game continues. Once a decision is made, it is final and binding. Be aware, as a foreign entity, your presence here has destabilized reality. If a decision is not made, this world will end. Once a decision is made, whether you leave or stay, the world will stabilize and continue. And most importantly, those who are dead no longer get a vote.
Does Colette tell us what's on the thing if she reads it before the rest of us do?
Yeah, I'm just reading that out loud.
Yeah.
Just reading that out loud now. Well, has Nathaniel popped back upstairs?
I was about to say, let's make it easy. Nathaniel's gone to get the drinks and cocktail ingredients. Let's have this scene safely in quiet conversation. And I'll tell you when he's in hearing range, so I won't spring it on you, unless it's particularly funny.
That's weird. That's weird. What is this place? What is this place if it can be stable? Can it be there without us?
I
Is this not?
Multiverse theory is a thing.
Whether one of the rules, I'm going to actually cut and paste what the thing says into the chat. Is whether he did say that once a decision is made, either you stay or leave, the realm will continue. So in other words, if you stay and don't make a decision, it will be destroyed. Once a decision is made, pro or con, the realm will continue.
Yeah. I mean, well, I want to stay. For now.
I agree, but I didn't love that last part about the dead player not getting a vote. That screams PvP to me.
Yeah, and also it's permanent. Is this
how time sensitive is this? Is death permanent? I mean,
I like both of you a lot, but if you're the only real people that I'm going to spend the rest of my existence with.
I mean, that guy seemed pretty real.
But he was also my RPG character from when I was 15.
Oh, so you're not multiverse theory anymore?
No, I am multiverse theory. I'm just... It is possible to conceive of the idea that multiple dimensions exist at once, and also to conceive of the idea that this dimension is fabricated.
Sorry, you were talking, and I just heard fucking buzzing or whatever. Sorry, magic
Great.
sword.
Cool. Yes, I can see how much you have definitely matured in the last.
Magic sword.
Yeah, but you have to pay money to have those coin things. How many of them do you have?
You don't know that.
I saw you put a coin in your neck.
Yeah, maybe I did that
And
for
then
fun.
you had a magic sword.
Yeah.
It wasn't a leap of logic, I'm gonna be honest with you.
I mean, first of all, hey, don't look at my fucking magic coins.
I'm not looking... That is a concerning beginning to an addiction.
Okay,
Colette,
as you
what
about,
do you think?
I was about to segue. Colette, what do you think?
I mean, I'm like super torn here. Like I want to be here, right? I'm right now in this situation. I'm a bit freaked out by the dead ex-boyfriend downstairs, but there's also no downstairs anymore, so I'm not too. So my instinct is to try and convince these folks to say the game continues and we can just carry on. But like, there's a permanent thing there that is worrying me, and also there's a like, how do I persuade this group of people? I'm assuming that I am not making the leap. Colette is not making the leap that Avery is making, that all players includes the GM. But in my head, it's just like, I just need to convince you guys to stay here, and we can just stay here. My life is pretty shit. Maybe that's all right, but maybe we need to put that.
Wait,
maybe we need to delay that.
Ava, I have a request, and no worries if you don't feel it makes sense, but please can we have some of this conversation in character? Like,
yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, it might be worth saying, I mean, obviously this is going to come out like sooner or later, but I think it's the kind of like you saying, because there is the pressure immediately, you need to get together before the world ends. And if you're, so that might be the first thing Colette would say to the group, as in, we need to catch up with Moira if we make a decision either way. Because like that's at least what you should, but you can say what you want to say to the group. I think that's probably useful information to tell Reese.
Yeah. Well, I think we've got to make this decision. I think we've got to make a decision about whether we're going to stay here or whether we're going to go, and that means staying here long enough to be able to make that decision. Right? I would happily. I think I would go here. Like, my life's great, but like this is magic, right?
Yeah, but like you said everything's on an upward trajectory. What about the trajectory? I thought you had like stuff you wanted to do, people you wanted to be. Like,
maybe this
are you
is
sure
that,
you want to
though.
give all that up?
Maybe this is all I wanted.
But this is our childhood fantasy. I mean, I don't know. I always thought that you were. I don't know. I thought you were going to be mayor or prime minister or an MP or a celebrity or I don't know. Like,
yeah, well, I wanted you to think that.
Wait, what?
That's what I wanted people to think I wanted. But this is different. This is something else. This feels real to me. Realer than anything out there.
Well,
I want to do it.
Okay, that makes sense. And I'm currently outnumbered. I mean,
we can dig into something like we're heading towards a break, so I don't want to actually necessarily open this bag of things. But I would like everyone to think we've established various other people in the real world, and when we head into the break, I want people to think about we've established Colette's older sibling, who basically left Colette in the lurch, but we don't really know what's going on with them. We haven't established any Onx's or Reese's. We've described they're basically. Their love life is just uninteresting, but like, what are their parents like? Do their parents need them? Do they have any siblings? And just think about those kind of broadness in terms of. I'd like people to think about the reality of the other people in their world, and like, is there anything? Is there one of their parents is particularly responsible to in some way? And I had another question for Onk specifically. I'm interested in how Onk slipped into being so boring. Because it's like, what was the pressure to take on a normal life for you? Because you're so rebellious, and then you weren't. And these are all questions that interest me, and I kind of occasionally like just dropping a load of stuff, just people just chew over before the break. But we'll cut back here as the debate is kind of cut short by Guy coming back with your drinks, and he's like, I sense tension. You know what's good for attention? Passes his drinks.
I'm gonna blow mine out and grin at him and say, yeah, you're right, you've still got it.
Colette necks it while it's still on fire.
I would say, and doesn't hurt at all.
Yeah.
It's like you nail it perfectly, but there's an art to it, and Colette knows it.
When Reese says the "still got it" thing, I elbow Colette, and I just kind of like, "Am I right?"
And it like Nathaniel.
He might get it later.
Nathaniel says, "Come on, we're underground. This camp. You know that adventurers can't really be like this in the open out there, because they'll see us, and they'll you know what they're like. They don't like adventurers here. People like us."
Who's they? What are they doing?
Yeah, just assume we're like from out of town.
Are you dimensional travelers? Is this one of these dimension traveling adventurers? Is this what we're having here?
Oh, that's great. Hey, I was gonna dumb it down for you, but you seem to be on the level, my guy.
Please, I retired from adventuring. That means there's a level of intelligence to what I do. Yeah, I've got a loud mouth. Yes, I drink a little or too much. Yes, I'm just running this fairly basic pub. But there's I've seen some shit. I've been around.
Hey,
The dancing
this
nudes.
pub is not basic. It's got a
Yeah.
new. It's got a new, and it's got a techno gurdy.
Honestly, I'm now thinking slightly less of you, but that impresses you. Nathaniel laughs and he says, "You really don't know what they are, do you? Do you want to come and see? There might be one passing." And he leads you upstairs, and he takes you to the door and sort of looks through. It's night out there. Of course, it's always night in the Neon Shadowlands. Neon burning brightly as a dancing newt in the sign outside the pub. It's not really neon; it's magical neon. It's the scientists in the room would object, but the pure phosphorescence is there. And you see a shape making its way down, and you recognise it's some of the cool girls from school. One of them looks a lot like Colette, but there's all that kind of Colette's crowd that she hung around with, and they've got great hair. This long curling, writhing hair. It's a point, glistening, writhing hair, and one of them flicks back, and you see their eyes, bright red and hollow in the skull, and you realise that hair is alive, and these are Medusas. These gorgons stalking the street like mean girls, laughing to each other, looking round. And he shuts the door before they actually manage to cast a glance at you. They hate adventurers. They'll judge people like us, and we won't survive. And we're going to hard cut the first break there. Okay, picking up where we left, we hard cut back in after the ad breaks. To a Nathaniel who just shutting the door quietly and says, "They really don't like adventurers, those people."
How long have they been here?
There's a sort of frown. Well, like they're sort of like he sort of frowns. Always, that kind of thing.
But were they around when you were adventuring before you retired?
Yeah, but it used to be a lot easier. Adventurers always have to be pretty underground. You know what you mean?
No.
There's definitely a sense that he's confused enough to be. There was a schism between your fantasy world and this place. As in, there's a distinct. It's this and in the improv world, it's a yes and.
So I'm gonna maybe Nathaniel, do you mind if we just I just need a second to talk to my fellow dimension travelers.
He puts his arm around all your shoulders. He has to reach up for Colette in this kind of way. Like, friends, I've been in adventuring party. I understand you need to go to the corner, have a talk, and then you're going to come back and try to swindle me for like 4 gold pieces or some shit.
Yeah, to make back the purse that you just stole from me.
It's not a whole purse. You wouldn't call this a purse, he says, passing you back a tiny, a purse with almost all its gold in.
Thank you.
I follow the purse with my eyes, just calculating. Like, is this gold? Is this my kind of gold? What kind of gold is this?
Yeah, no, not your kind of gold. It's just pure old boring gold, which is like methadone compared to this the majesty of what those things were. Nathaniel walks away to the bar, just throws up, and you don't even tip well either. When I was an adventurer, I always knew to tip the barkeep who gave them very useful information.
I think like at that, Reese is just gonna like whistle, and he's gonna just flip a gold coin across the bar to Nathaniel.
He holds his hand and it disappears in thin air.
Now I know for a fact that that was not true. You did not tip well.
Listen, Colette, I mean, hey, listen, I work at WH Smith's. It fucking sucks. I live by myself. I have a goldfish, but that's all I've got going for me. I'm gonna be honest with you, he's not been the best company of like living in a magical cyberpunk world. Fuck yes. However, being hunted by gorgons that look like our high school bullies, I'm less sold on. So,
Colette, how do you feel about being grouped in with the high school bullies?
I mean, it's fair. I honestly, like, it's one of those things that it just doesn't actually register that I should be taking criticism from that. Like, yeah.
I also wonder if there's a little bit of a thing of like we said, like the rules are different when we're together. Like it's like Colette knows that she's not one of the group when Reese is talking about the group.
Yeah.
No, that makes perfect sense to me. Yeah.
So let's maybe find Moira, make sure that she's okay. She's not being turned to stone. A little bit worried about that.
I mean, she seemed a little bit OP. Like, she's fine.
Okay, but you don't know that.
I mean, fucking, she gave herself a fucking nun/dominatrix outfit. Like, again.
Thank you. I remember very clearly.
So much cleavage going on. Like, hello.
Yes,
and they were just right there, you know?
We don't need to keep talking
this is
about
so
this.
easy. This is like an Olympic sport. And I'm just winning.
Yeah, Reese is just melting into the ground, like red up to the tips of their ears again. They are just like
Reese hears a voice in his ear, and it is it's the voice of Chance, of course. Mister, the teacher goes, "It's an adventure, and you'll learn things. Don't you know? The red is a useful shield, but you can't hide behind it entirely. Take a chance, Reese." And the voice goes,
"Tell if I should be listening to you or not."
Actually, and the Chance says, "Put it like this: Would you be here if it wasn't for me giving you that room?" And you hear the eyebrows raise somehow.
Oh, so maddeningly enigmatic and charismatic. I feel like you guys just see Reese swatting at the air. Like, it's fine. I'm fine.
Okay.
I think we're fun. Why are we worried about these people? We're the main character here, right? We can take anything.
Well, I mean, I did say the thing about the protagonist, but it was like kind of self-deprecating. Like, we're just, I mean, fucking, what level are we?
Have you seen me?
No, that's true.
She's
I
got
would
a
definitely call Colette a level 20. Yeah, for sure. She's the trident, the armor.
See, but I feel like I'm level like 9 or 10. Like, I don't feel right now. I don't feel.
I feel like the beggar at the feet of God, but you know, it's fine.
All right, yeah.
I feel amazing.
You look amazing.
Yeah, so tall.
And you're right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pressure you before. I'm sure, like, you always seem to me like someone who knew her own mind, and I trust that you know it now. And the armor definitely suits you. This reality suits you. I just wanted to. This feels like a fever dream, and I feel like sometimes I don't want us to wake up and feel worse for it.
Question to Onyx and Reese, because this one is interesting. Because, like, whilst you, of course, have read as queer in the real world at different times, Colette hasn't. And Colette's amazing. Amazing. Does it surprise you that Colette is as comfortable in this amazing outfit as she is? And if so, what are you thinking? Oh, no, and that's kind of leads to how much, you know, the question of what people read as Colette's queerness back then. That's kind of that question as well. Okay, I've added far too many details to that question. Mine says, "How surprised are you that Colette appears to be entirely comfortable in her awesome look?"
I mean, up to Max and Ava on this. My feeling is that Onyx and Reese both have probably quite different but also quite accurate forms of gaydar, in that like I think we can both plot like another queer like in different ways. And so I think for Reese it's like the kind of the GNC, like Reese recognizes fellow queer. And so Ava, if you want to like X-list, no worries. But I suspect that at least Reese like always suspected that Colette hung out with the gender non-conforming and the goth kid at school to play RPGs secretly in a library and never told anyone about it. That's a very queer thing to do.
I think, I don't know to what extent, like I think everybody in this group like has always been able to see through something, right? Because I think that like just the Colette fucking loved it. And there was always this thing about keeping it on the down low. And I think my take on that and what you've just said is that, like, basically, you all knew that Colette was queer, whether Colette knew or not. But you thought that was what she was hiding, right?
Yeah.
So you don't know the other stuff, but you knew that. And then you've got, like, Colette knew that stuff, wasn't quite able to figure out the queer stuff until later.
That's great.
Yeah, for sure. I also think because that's like that thing we said last session is that I think that Reese really cares like genuinely and quite sincerely about Colette, and I think this is part of why is like that they feel that we have this queerness in common and that we've had this queerness in common since childhood, and therefore you are like their found family in a lot of ways.
So is the response like it's almost like encouraging gladness? Like
yeah.
As in at last, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for me that's a big part of why Reese is being very praising about like the outfit and everything is like specifically is
No, that's great. What about Max? Sorry, Max. What about Onyx?
Oh, I think so. I didn't realize it at first, and then one summer I watched Mean Girls, and I saw Regina George playing softball at the end of the thing, and I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, obviously she's gay." So I was like, "Oh my god, the hyper femininity, the just like Mean Girl thing, being one way in public and one way in private." Fucking metaphors on metaphors on metaphors, and then never brought it up with the others.
Yeah. I could just literally see you there watching it on the, whatever crappy download small screen going, love that. Okay, we segue back to the room after we've got this brief bit of Onyx and Reese, back to Colette, who is making the pitch of like what we're doing and where we're going. Like, what do you think?
I say we go out there, we fight them, or we get past them, or we find Moira, and we decide to stay here.
I think we should take this as an opportunity to window shop. Like, we're not making a decision either way because we don't have Moira with us, and we can just visit, get the lay of the land, try some food, see what the fashion is. See how easy it is to kill higher level people. And then once we meet Moira, we can all make a decision as a group, but like our decisions based on actual lived experiences.
Yeah, well, I need you to decide. So let's do it.
Okay, what I want is to see if they've got any drinks trays in here, ideally metal ones, because we need a mirror. For those Gorgons.
Oh, I thought you just wanted to check yourself out.
No,
I was like, this is the Nathaniel thing again. Like, dude, are you good?
No, I'm gonna be honest. My appearance has never been high on the list of priorities, and it continues not to be. I have enough to look at.
I mean, you might want to check yourself out, dude. Like, look at my eyes.
I mean, Nathaniel has been.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yes.
Letty, that is unfair, and okay. Why do I feel like we're kids again? Drinks tray, mirror, Gorgons. Let's try to do, I agree, some investigation. Finding Moira is priority because if we are going to make a decision, presumably we'll need all of us, and I would like to make sure she's okay.
The adventuring thing worries me. We should, okay, Colette, you're very tall, so sneaking, kind of like not really an option. But we could like have covers.
I mean, honestly, she could be like a fantasy runway model at this point. Like, I feel like we can just say it's avant-garde fashion if we need to.
Are we like the bodyguards?
Sounds
I guess
about right.
I'm like her hippie astrologer dude.
Oh, I love that. And I'm the shady bodyguard. Yeah, see?
Okay.
This sounds like a well thought out adventurous plan.
I'm gonna swing by the bar and ask Nathaniel if he has any drinks trays that I can steal.
Or mirrors.
Now, I'm not going to ask you to tell me what your plan is, but on a score of like, I don't know, 0 to 10, how impractical and risky do you think your next 10 minutes of your life are going to be like?
Oh, I would put it at a solid 50.
Chance goes, that's optimistic in your ear.
I love this god.
What are you actually trying to do? Oh, actually, listen. Sorry, let me phrase. Where are you trying to go? As in, like, what's your plan here?
Oh, we need a map.
Oh yeah, we don't know where we're going. We just need to find our friend, the latex nun thing. Deal.
What do you think? She pauses. So, like, who is this person?
I mean, she's brilliant. She's a genius, master tactician. I mean, she'd probably be at a center of learning or a center of power, like a university or a library or a temple or...
Oh, that makes sense. So that would explain the enormous plasma vent to the sky, off to the east, I guess.
The what?
There's a sort of a big, powerful, magical ritual being going on most of the night. Some people thought it was just a light show. The Newts were really into it and dancing for a while, but it's definitely some big stuff happening over there. I mean, it must be.
Sounds like
I mean,
where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, you know where it is. It sounds like it's okay. I'm going to go to. Let's go to Ava. Ava, like, what was the biggest, the source of all mystical energy in the land of Neon? Where was that place? That mystical conjunction place?
So there's the cathedral of sound in the center of the city. Giant, like, kind of light beam arches, like the glassy angular one in Liverpool is what I'm thinking of in terms of cathedrals.
In my head, it's made of pure sound, as in solidified sound.
Yeah.
That's great. Then it's beaming. It's the. And he said, the big light show in the Cathedral of Sound. Like, it's normally where mages go to do their shit. But the thing is, I'm gonna ask Max this. I mean, what's the problem with getting to the Cathedral of Sound, though? I mean, why do people just not go up there?
Oh, is it like on a floating island in the mid? Like, it's a floating island, right? Surrounded by other smaller floating island platform situations, but they're constantly rotating around each other. So it's just like it's a fucking trek. It's
a trek. It's basically like Super Mario Ring, but we're being crushed. Like, honestly, yeah. That's why you have to be a real pilgrim to go, like a sound pilgrim. You know, you've got to really go for it. So that sounds really, that would explain that. That's why not many people go there. Just mention in passing. But yeah. And he says, of course, it's going to be tricky getting out there with all the Gorgons out in force. What you probably want to do is get there underground before you go up the make your pilgrimage. Like, and especially if you're going up to the cathedral, they're going to know you're adventurers, and they don't like adventurers. They don't like people like us around here. You've got, they'll judge us terribly for it. And I've got to ask a very serious question though, Reese. I'm presuming you've swapped names. It's like, so this friend of yours, are they more attractive than I am? And he flutters his eyelashes.
Oh, it's Reese again, just red up to their ears. They are so embarrassed right now. Like, oh, please don't make me choose.
Stop. No, I don't any bet where I can turn off second worst is not of interest to me. Onks, glance over here. You're right, this is easy and too much fun. This should not be allowed.
Honestly, we should have matches. I will come back here.
I hate everything.
I think you should bottle it. Like,
yeah, I was about to say, basically, to get them underground is like, adventurers were allowed to go underground. That's kind of where they like to keep us. Like, Ella, where's that first ever adventure you went down a dungeon near the city? What was that dungeon?
Oh my god. Okay, it is the illegal neon smuggling tunnels.
Of course.
So that you kind of smuggle neon because you can use neon to give a kick to your magic, and it's kind of like a prohibition type thing. And so lots of the kind of tunnels, like the sewers and stuff, have been turned into neon smuggling tunnels. So Moira did a lot of really cool stuff where like the tunnels will be completely black, but then there'd be like kind of like sort of glow in the dark streaks of neon on the walls and stuff. And we would kind of be in blackout and then in flashes of neon.
That sounds utterly amazing. And he just leans
I'm
back
kind
and
of
goes,
picturing like using neon to help your rabbits as like the is it the faculty where they end up like snorting sherbet out of little tubes? It's like that, but it's glow sticks.
Just crack a glow stick.
Just crack a glow stick and.
Yeah. I'm now thinking about the Neon Matrix scene, but the Matrix dance floor, but good somehow. There's black lights. This is good. Nathaniel goes like, you could probably take a shortcut if you can get just across town past the first wave of Gorgons. I reckon you can get down into the neon tunnels. You'll find some friendly people down there, mostly too friendly. You know what adventurers are like. He smiles. I
do know that.
But that sounds like your best way if you're trying to get to the cathedral. I mean, what is there a big rush, or do you need to? Is there any particular rush? You can stay for drinks. It's always easier in daylight.
Imagine if there was like a clock, right? But we can't see the clock, but we know it's ticking. And at the end of at midnight, when the clock strikes midnight, that's the end of the world. But we can't see the clock, but we know it's ticking.
Is this a metaphor?
No, it's not. Speaking of metaphors, I was wondering, the whole like they don't like adventurers. That's like a metaphor, right? For like we're queer and they don't like us.
It sounds like adventurous to us. As it's definitely to step into GM, yes. In a full-on, all adventurers are queer in this world. As in, to be adventurer is a queer. Is to be queer.
But I was. Being...
No. I just wanted to underline the very not very subtle subtext of this particular story.
Listen, I'm proud of Moira. I think. Okay.
Actually, this is probably important bits. Nathaniel's going to give you some information now. He goes, "Okay, if the world's going to end, you probably should get a hurry on. One, because to be honest, I quite like being alive. Big fan. Two, like it would explain why the sky split open like just a few hours, about half an hour ago.
Burying the lead, Nathaniel.
Did you ask?
That is called burying. We just came up out of being underground to being in a building with a roof. The sky is open, and you didn't mention it at the top.
Oh, come on.
Sky.
You forget. I don't know where you're from, but here omens are pretty common. Like if one omen happens, that's nothing. You wait for the next omen to happen before. At which point the entire building vibrates. And I don't mean like an earthquake. I mean vibrates like a stuck bit of like old VHS footage. When the VHS was paused and it basically does this. Yeah. Like the whole universe does that for a few seconds, and it pauses and it goes, yeah, something like that. That's the sort of thing you wait for two things close together, and then you kind of realize something must be up.
Okay.
Shoot! Get the fuck out of here!
Yeah. Okay. We're going. Lenny, please, could you go first? You are so tall and so strong, and your trident is very pretty. And also, I am not too proud to say that I am terrified right now. And I really don't want to die.
Let's do it.
We hard cut to outside. And you sort of sneak, the doors open and your heads are going around. Colette's at the top, Onks is in the middle, Reese is at the bottom. In this kind of shot. And you see into the street. Across the street, standing on an opposite corner, are three of the Gorgons, hissing at each other. Like there's something like this is very Mean Girls. As I say, is that it's somehow merged between your teenage bullies into plus Mean Girls. They're all wearing a Regina George outfit. Chainmail Regina George.
Nice.
But they haven't not spotted you yet. They haven't spotted you yet.
I'm
Pause for a second. I'll add a question to ask, and then we'll jump back to you, Ava.
No, it's okay. I had a thing I wanted to do. I will wait for Ava.
Ava.
I mean, like, I think that unless you actively stop me, like, Colette's reading of the situation is still like, I am just going to strut, right? I am proud. I'm here. I don't actually give a shit or have any fear in this situation for reasons that will almost certainly get us in a lot of trouble if you folks don't come up with a way. So you just so we take a poke around, and I'm just like, fuck it, and I start walking out.
That's it. There's a lot of swagger there. Ella, Max, or Unks and Reese actually Reese.
Yeah,
Ella, is Reese doing something?
Yeah, I want to use prophecy, which I can't really tell on this character sheet, but I'm assuming it's like is it a scripture? Like
it is a scripture. So just roll it and tell me.
Okay, so
I was about to say you can actually just note this for your basically roll to remind everyone how the game works. You basically roll a dice pool. A dice pool is equal to your stat. You can occasionally include your special dice, but that depends on who you are. In this case, Ella does include it. In this case, just roll it and note how many successes you get, which is a 4+. And if you get if one of them is 6+, you can add an extra one. Just note down how many of them you've got, and if the combat breaks out, you can use those effects. Does that work, Reese?
Wicked. And in terms of stat, I'm assuming I would use wisdom.
Yes, all scripture is wisdom, basically, for you.
Yeah, makes sense.
Onks.
Oh shit! I got 3 successes. Wait, no, sorry, you said 4+. I got 4 successes.
Great,
including a 6.
That is 5. Note down 5, which is the number of times you can add basically, you can add an advantage or disadvantage to any dice roll in the encounter from now, and we'll just the encounter is defined as until we think it isn't.
For rule purposes, I mean, Max is sitting next to me, and I got a 4, a 5, a 6, and a 9.
Yes, it's worth noting. You only add every special you have. You can only activate once on the same target. So, in other words, your dice roll, casting a special, add an extra success. So, but you rolled 2 specials, but you could only activate it once because, if in a hypothetical situation you had a second special, you could activate them both.
Cool.
Which is kind of these 6s act as a kind of gate on very high level abilities. Is the best way to talk about game design for a second. Okay, we'll come back to us. Actually, we'll stay with you a second. Reese, tell me how prophecy looks in your is it very visible? Is it like give me an image?
Oh, I think that it's like they're in a car and they've got a bunch of realities flipping past very quickly as if they're on a motorway, and just out of the peripheral vision, they just see just a bunch of different courses, like kind of just flick past them. And then they kind of settle again and kind of
That's fantastic. I love that. We get that brief finish. Max, what's Onyx doing? Is Onyx going to follow Colette's move as the bodyguard, or you got something else in your mind?
Oh, I see Colette go, and I'm like, we did not discuss this. And my instinct is to like just make it distraction. And so the Fairfield, I can just hack. Can I hack shit?
You can ask if there's anything around. Like, tell me what you want to do. I
was gonna ask, is there any lights and stuff like this, like things that are off but could be very easily turned on and be like obnoxious?
I would say most of the street has got this weird look of like it's a medieval sort of town, but with a load of like magical neon lights. You're literally standing beneath a glowing, dancing newt thimble. So there's a lot of neon signs that you can, for example, hack, overload. There's all that kind of stuff you definitely do.
Overload.
Yeah, you can turn them on, you turn them off. They're the most obvious things.
Hypothetically, if just like a few, like maybe like half a block down, if I rerouted all the electricity, the magic electricity, I don't know how this works, but you know, it's magic.
No,
if I reroute all the electricity to one specific neon sign, will that make a firework?
I think you can definitely do a distraction like that. Like, I think overloading sounds like a great thing you try to do. The AI goes, affirmative. Speaking broadly, it's like the game rewards. Say what you want to do, and we'll work out whether you can do it. You know, most of the time, the fact we are defining everything is the thing about diet. It's deliberately very flexible in terms of like we decide what things mean. Like, what can a miracle do? What can be hacked? And we define that in play, and then we follow those things we've made up. It's in many ways diet's a conversation about why we play RPGs. Anyway, step off the design head, and I'll cut that bit if we ever put that live, and go back to yes, you can definitely cat the fuck out of it. Do you want to do it immediately, or like Colette is stomping in those awesome? I forget if the boots. In my head, they're suddenly boots. But like,
yeah, they'll be boots. They are very long boots.
Armored, high heel, kind of opalescent steel, fucking yeah.
All right. Onks, is your aim to actually attract them to head down there, or just look the other way as you stomp across the street?
I would like them to like. I mean, I was imagining like it kind of like maybe like a localized explosion of like neon stuff, something that would make them go, that looks like something an adventurer would do, and just like kind of like pop over there, so we can both be like, hey, Colette, chill out. Let's not die.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to make this quite simple for you. What it is every success you roll, you can distract one of these gorgons. So like, and your hacking is D6, your intelligence. You don't include your D10 because you haven't got a hacking gift. You can get one later if we're playing the full game, which we're not.
So my int is 2, so I roll 2d6.
Yes.
How many gorgons are there?
3. I was about to say, Reese, this is now a chance you can use one of your fortune abilities.
Yeah. So I will give you an advantage, which I think gives you an extra dice.
Correct.
In the pool. And then describe what you saw. Reese saw out of the corner of their eye, like Onyx setting off fireworks from the newt. Like, I think that's the reality that Reese saw. Like, and Reese is. I don't think that they're even surprised, and like as they just like kind of turn, like I just like this idea, but I like the idea that as they turn, just at their side, one of their fingers kind of twitches, and they feel this kind of tension in the air, like they're pulling on a string of like an instrument, and they just kind of pull it a little harder.
Cool. Roll the dice. Tell me how many 4 pluses you get.
1. Ooh. Just the 1.
Is it a 6?
No, it's a 4.
Okay, no.
That's so close to 3 failures.
As I say, briefly, do you want to know what? Oh, did I tell you what a critical fail is, by the way? A critical fail is when you roll all failures and at least one of them is a 1. Right, but as it is, it's just like you got 1 success. That's enough to make a gorgon fuck off. Like one of the newt signs starts going. There must be another newt dancing bar down the street, and it starts kicking and kicking and kicking faster and faster, and it just blows up, leaving this kind of like newt with one leg flashing.
Diversity win.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh well. Anyway, this. Okay, where are we? Right, one of the gorgons across the street kind of huffs and leaves. It's Colette. It's the Colette gorgon, and you can hear the Colette gorgon says, "Oh, that reminds me, I've got something really cool to do," and she moves off. Serpentine in the chainmail. There's 2 gorgons left talking to each other. They roll their eyes at Colette. She might as well be an adventurer sometimes. You hear the slight snark. Colette, you're definitely still ahead. Are you kind of like gonna? Because are you trying to march past them and just don't fuck with me, march?
Yeah. Basically, I'm just doing like, actually, I don't give a shit about you. So not paying any attention to them whatsoever and getting where I am going, which I don't know where it is, but I just assume that if I walk with confidence, I'm going to get where I need to be.
Okay. Like, recent Onks. Like, no, I think it's great. I'm just trying to work out how to explain. I can hear the music playing. Actually, if it was a move, this is literally me just picturing what sort of music's playing as you kind of do the I'm a badass, like enormous scaled hat person.
Like a kind of like brooding techno version of Funky Town.
Fuck yeah!
like seriously moody, seriously like grimy and pulsing, but still fundamentally Funky Town.
that might be the top. A broody techno version of Funky Town. You're going to take them down to Funky Town as this walk, as the heel hits the ground on the beat. The dirty, squelching beat. Oaks and Reese are trying to catch up after all this stuff, but you're still lagging behind a bit. And frankly, all eyes are on Colette. I think what Colette should roll, for me, this feels like a sort of like you're trying to like style it out. So I reckon this sounds like a charisma.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you an advantage on it, just because the way you've described yourself is so striking that it's not like they're going to. It's partially because they're more suspicious of you, but they're also less suspicious of you because no one will be walking around like this if they,
Yeah. Anyone who actually understood the situation here would not be walking like that. Therefore, it's like having a fluorescent vest on.
Exactly. It's one of those. It's like turning up to some kind of like. All my metaphors are wrong, but it's really like just going "Hello, officer" when you've got an enormous pile of drugs in your head.
One second. We only have one match which I used, and I've got to put another log on the fire, or it's going to go out. So, but I'm going to take our headphones out and put you on speaker so we can still hear you and you can keep going. But I'm just going to be off screen for a sec.
I was also going to ask: does Ella want to spend one of the Reese's prophecies to get an extra dice for Colette?
I definitely do. But I mean, how many dice are you rolling already, Colette? Because what I'm worried is if we need them later.
Well, yeah.
Colette,
three.
Take one. Take an advantage, Colette.
Yep, sure.
And I mean, like again, I think with this, Reese is just like maybe just brushes their thumb over another string of fate, like kind of at their side in the air as they look at Colette and just feel this massive surge of just warmth and pride and just affection for like seeing her being exactly who she's supposed to be and not boxing herself in any way.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say this is difficulty 2. And that means you have to remove 2 successes if you roll them. So you've got to roll 3 successes.
2 successes.
Yeah. Now, it's worth noting, if you actually remove successes, you still have a mixed success in this case. So, in other words, like, if you roll any successes, you're going to get something you want. But if you get full success, you need 3.
The actual thing. Yeah, sure. That is 2 6s, which I believe
that takes you down to 0 successes. But anyways, you abstractly fail, but this is you only need 1 more success. So this is both if you rolled 1 success, it'd be like a bad level mixed success. So this is a good level mixed success. I was about to say, I would describe how intimidated the Gorgons are as you walk past.
Intimidated. I think they just like it's a mix of like they just the thing of like not actually having seen someone not be scared of them before. And it's kind of like this weird kind of bewilderment and then a weird like and they should be able to do it. They know that they could fuck me up. They know that like but there's something about having like genuinely not had anyone be that proud and that secure and solid and not, because even the people who can just go about their business, like kind of keep their distance. And this is just, So they just kind of like freak out a little bit. There's just a kind of like pause and a kind of like a look and a kind of like, and they look at each other and they look at me and they just don't know what to do. That's
great. And that you do that, you're down the alleyway. They don't fuck with Funky Town. Is the is the takeaway of it, and you feel very cool. And you've made it. You're down the alleyway and you're heading towards the thing. Only Onks and Reese, who are of course trailing, slightly notice. The 2 Gorgons kind of glance at each other, and one of them sort of nudges. Something's off, and one of the Gorgons is following Colette into the alleyway, as in trying to basically just see where trail and see where Colette's going. So Onks and Reese are now like, you're kind of behind them. So like you've actually, the situation to imagine, you're going to this cool cyberpunk fantasy alleyway, like what the Blaze in the Dark TV show is going to look like. And like Colette is boot stomping ahead, and behind her you've got the you have this Gorgon making its way sinuously down the street with a weird sort of half swagger, half. You'll be surprised how much a snake can swagger. And you've got a kind of an advantage. You've got a moment you can sort of work out what you're going to do about this Gorgon. What are you going to do about this Gorgon? I think we go to Onks first. Like this is dark alleyways. This seems like more like what a Neo would know about.
See, on the one hand, I'm a rogue. On the other hand, I don't know enough about the situation to know if this is a killing situation.
It's also one of those questions. Is Onks entirely okay with Onks is very much into the idea it's a game and that she's playing with game rules. But at the same time, like, is that a shortcut in her brain? Like, she's not really engaging with the fact that she might just attempt to mug someone in an alleyway from behind. It's still kind of gamey for her, or is it kind of like?
I think she's aware that it's like game rules, but I think also like the idea that this is a game and that things matter aren't like incompatible in her brain, because I feel like real life also operates by game rules to her, except the rules are just shitty and nobody understands them. And here it's the same thing, except the rules are like very clear. And so
I kind of imagine that you had a bit more weight, like you twigged that line about dead people not getting a vote, right?
Yeah, no, I did.
In a way that Colette did not at all, yeah.
I think Onyx is in a place where it's like, okay, this is clearly dangerous and I don't know the situation. What would I have done as a kid playing this? And the answer is that I would have followed that Gorgon and I would have slit its throat.
Right. I was like, we'll leave Onks pacing towards Reese. You see this happening? Are you going to go along with it, or are you just going to go, what the fuck?
No, absolutely not. No, I think that Reese sees all of these things happening at once, takes a deep, steadying breath, sets his shoulders, and just like strides in very loudly, and reaches out to put a hand on the Gorgon's shoulder, gets between the Gorgon and Onyx, and says, "Hi, yes. So I can tell from your whole like demeanor that you're a Leo, and that is great right now. You know, Leos are very on trend. Obviously, you're really in tune with this outfit, and I respect that. However, I also feel as a professional astrologist that I should warn you that, you know, Leo's right now, Leo season, it's time for you time. You know, you need like a hot bath, maybe some like nice scented soaps. It's going to make you feel a lot better."
I'm going to interrupt for this second, just because you started doing this, like you're doing this and she's ignoring you for a second, and then she turns back and those eyes go. And suddenly it's like, oh yeah, there's a thing about Gorgons, isn't there?
Yeah. No, for real. Like I'm just like, yeah, like I'm like, I mean, if they're full on laser going, then I'm gonna.
It's about like, don't worry, you have some level of protection. It's just the way, you know. I'm going to roll for her attack, her looking at stuff attack. On Ella, and also Onks, because Onks is also behind.
Sorry. I mean,
I can't believe I'm not getting it.
I say, you both got defense of 0, haven't you?
Yes. Can I give her a disadvantage?
Yes, you can actually. Allow me to. One disadvantage. An attack roll, you add what we call a bad dice. The bad dice means you add this evil bad dice. Everyone hiss the bad dice?
Boo!
Exactly. Now the dice knows its position. It's shamed. And if it rolls 4+, it will be it removes success from the pool. So in other words, basically, it's a 50-50 chance of moving a success. Because I'll talk about afterwards. The mathematics and die are this is a bit kludgy, but I do like the idea of scapegoating one dice. And it's like, tell me, Ella, how does you? Actually, I definitely need to, because you've just basically talked so much, you've distracted it. So remove one of those things. It looks like, will you just shut up? Onks gets away. Onks has enough time to dive out the way from this, so you can avert your eyes. You don't take anything. Ella, you do, however. Move your guard. Your guard is presently, basically, there's 2 sorts of hit points you have. There's guard and health. Guard is your ability to get the fuck out of the way. Health is, oh my god, that hurts. So, like, take 1 away from your guard. and your guard should start at the same level. So that's you stepping out of the way. However, it rolled a special, so it gets to do its special.
Oh no!
It's seen you. Now, of course, Gorgons here are different. You suddenly realise Gorgons are different. I want you to tell me a secret the rest of the group don't know about yourself.
About me?
And so not you. I said your character, Reese.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, sorry. Tell me your PIN number.
I would have gone for Social Security, honestly. Like,
okay. Fuck.
That's right. It could be something. It could be something you've already established. For example, like Colette has a lot of these, shall we say? But it could be something entirely new. This is something the rest of the group wants everyone wants to know, and it would change their opinion of you. This might be a good time to introduce anything you thought of in the break as well. If that might.
Yeah. Fuck. Shit. Fuck. Sorry. This is tricky. Hang on a second. Okay, so we've got a veil on this, so I want to check in with the group before mentioning it.
Cool.
I think the thing that's kind of coming to my brain is probably that Reese tried to kill themselves at some point since we last saw each other. But if anyone's uncomfortable with that, then I am happy to just nix it and come up with something else.
I think we've got it on veil.
Yeah, we've got it on veil, but I just want to check in anyway.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Because
that's fine. Yeah. And the Gorgon goes, "You were so low, you tried to kill yourself," and she actually says it to you, and everyone hears it.
Oh shit!
And you feel paralyzed. You know, there's that kind of moment of awfulness to it.
Oh, shit.
And she laughs. In that, there's something awful. It's kind of the memory of this awful bully cackle. But it does mean that both Unks and Colette gets a chance to do something there, if you like. I would say Unks is nearest, but then Colette can also act. Unks, how you feeling? Also, like, you tell me A, how you immediately respond to like that thing they've said, because you immediately know it's true, and B, what you do.
My immediate response is just guilt.
Oh wow.
Just paralyzed by guilt. Just like I cut off literally everybody after I left high school, and clearly there are consequences to my actions beyond what I thought possible. And my immediate reaction is, how far away is the Gorgon?
Within, like, you were close enough to do it, so you can certainly zoom if you like.
Then I'm gonna just like, I'm gonna say just like, Jesus Christ, dude, and I'm just gonna like smack it, like not a punch, but like a fucking on the top of the head, like, what the fuck, dude? That's
great. That immediately it like distracts it, and not distracting where it's like it holds its cheek, or she holds her cheek because we've gendered them now. Like that kind of, and she's looking away from you, and it's like it's and she's got it's the truth, and now everyone knows. That's the thing, like it's important things can't be kept underground. She's saying, Colette, you are kind of behind, although you've turned. You see your friends are being perilled. Perilled? That's not a real word. Be in an imperiled situation by this awful Gorgon. And this is awful news. Tell me how you feel about the awful news about Reese, and then tell me what you do.
Like my with my like kind of attitude to secrets and kind of like twigging what is going on here with the additional help of the hearing what's said to Onyx, like it's just I've just got rage. Like I just immediately just pour into like absolute fury. Not really so much about the suicide, but so much about the revelation of the secret, and just like that is out. That is not okay. Yep. So I spin around and I try and stab it in the back of the head with my enormous trident.
Marvelous. Roll an attack. I see. I've just rolled because the fact it's been surprised means it doesn't start with full guard. So I've rolled, and it rolled incredibly badly, so it's got no guard. It's taken entirely off its, it's entirely not safe. You can just roll your attack pool, which is your either strength or dexterity, depending on.
I think it's dexterity because of my fancy trident. What is
and
it?
You have an
elegant trident.
Yes, you have and you have an advantage because you are emotionally engaged. You're still like levels of wonder happening. If you get any abilities, you can turn them on. But
I don't know. I can't remember what the things are.
Arc of a Nose. No, you got Riposte and Duel. Actually, you can. If you wanted to, you can make it only attack you. But since it hasn't attacked anyone yet.
I don't think that's what I think. I think when I'm sneak attacking it in the back of the neck, like that's not.
Yeah, and I would
not
also
the
give
one.
you. Actually, you've got another advantage. Just take your one advantage up to your
Yeah.
dice ball and roll it, and tell me how many successes.
2 successes.
Actually, and that is enough to actually do it. Tell me how you take it down.
I mean, it's just like this. Like you can see this. You can see my body like just like snap into this anger, and just immediately, and I spin around, immediately survey the situation, and just like lunge really perfectly, like down onto a knee with the trident like shooting upwards and back, and just like spearing through the neck and up into the back of the head.
That moment of utter sharpness there. The light goes out its eyes and it slumps to the ground. Your trident goes. See, wasn't that wonderful? Perfect form. You know, you only have your first murder once, and you've got to savor it. It's good for you. Well, it's a good feeling. Well, at least for you. And they won't be feeling anything anymore. There's a moment with Colette I want to linger on here. It's like Colette. Of course, it's something aside. This is someone you knew. It looks very similar to someone you knew. And I like to flash back to a time this person, hey, give them a name if you want, but a time they were mean in the real world and you were like complicit in it, or you went along with it.
So this is Amy, who like really fucking despised Moira. And yeah, Moira was walking past one time and just yeah, and I'm not mean enough to come up with something really truly mean. What?
I can imagine. Let's just censor it, like do a long,
long
bleep, because it's far too. It breaks all our lines and veils. Let's assume this is so offensive, and then
I don't think it's even saying something. I think it's just like dropping Moira into a situation. I think it's just like that time. Amy blamed Moira for something horrible and embarrassing in the classroom, and completely got away with it. Completely sold it, and Colette just backed her up and was just like, "Yeah, no, I saw her do that."
Yeah, there's definitely that kind of like, and there's that look that Amy gave you, in that kind of like, we're in this together. And then we'll hard cut back to the Medusa Colette slumped on the floor. And that kind of the weirdness of that. Then we pan back up, only illuminated by the neon and the glow of the red sword by Onyx's side, up towards Reese, who is still shocked by this. Reese, do you want a sentence to say before we cut to the break?
I mean, Reese is just gonna shake themselves and not look at Onyx or Colette, and kind of shoulders kind of hunched to just deep shame in their body language, and then they're just gonna glance towards where the Cathedral of Sound is and say, right, so we better get moving, and just start walking off.
And we'll leave that as Reese stomps off down this alleyway, foot stomp splashing through the puddles because it's a cyberpunk alleyway, and people are not sure whether to follow them into the darkness. And we'll cut here for our second break. Right. Let's dive back in. The streets are dark. In fact, like they're dark and getting darker. Like the neon's kind of leaching away as you kind of get towards the place where you know, and like you kind of almost going automatically. Like I'm not sure if you've ever played video games when you were a kid, but I found myself replaying an old video game I hadn't played since I was like 14, and I knew it all by. It was an RPG called The Bard's Tale, and I knew it literally it was beneath my fingers. I'd ran this route on the city to pick up stuff so many times, and it's like that. It's like playing an old video game level. You know these steps. You know the thing is here. Reese, I'd like you to sort of frame the scene, which is basically describe things, how things look when people actually catch up with you. What does Reese look like on camera as Onyx and Colette catch up with him?
Oh, so I think that they have their quarterstaff out, and they've got it like in their hand at their side, like they're not using it to help them walk, but he clearly does want a weapon in hand. just like out of comfort, and his knuckles are maybe like quite white where he's gripping the staff very tightly. And then other than that, just like very stony. I think like we discussed this like when we created our characters, that Reese is the kind of person who has sincere emotions deep down. And so I think that like their reaction when they're feeling this bad is to just close off. And currently like walls on walls on walls on walls on walls are falling down inside their head. And they're just like, yeah.
All right. Okay, Onks, you've sort of caught up with Reese. Do you want to say anything to him?
I have 2 ideas, and I'm worried that one of them is too rough. Like I feel like what happened was very unfair because I now know something that you didn't want me to know, and I feel like Onyx feels like I should be giving you something in return, right? But the thing is that the thing that I figured out about Onyx during the first break is related to like parents and just like relationship to parents. So is it okay if I
mean, it's okay with me.
This sounds great. Honestly, like Onyx coming clean, prompted by the awful breached secret of the Gorgon. Yeah. That seems like a perfectly sensible scene, and also quite nice for Onyx because Onyx has been quite, glacial and perfect, and like showing some of her shit sounds absolutely. I'm all here for. Unless Ava, like, are you okay with Ava?
No, that's good. That's good.
Onyx, take the stage.
I think I'm just gonna like step next to you, like not sneakily, like I'm there, but I'm not like making my presence like a thing. And we walk like for a few paces, and I just go, I was an accident. My parents didn't want me. They never really got over that. I should have texted.
Yeah, well, 2-way street.
Hey. The next round's on me?
Only if you turn up wearing the most outrageous makeup I have ever seen. Yeah, but not when you've got magic doing it for you. If you make the choice to do it.
I think this is what I don't know how to add to. I think this is what my face looks like. I mean, I haven't tried to wash it off, but like, you're kind of asking like a lot of me right now. Like, I don't even know if they have a Sephora or anything over here.
The Aerie speaks up. Would you like to modulate your nano tattoos in your face?
Hold that thought. Hello.
Hello.
Oh my gosh. Do you have a name?
No, unless you wish to give me a name.
Would you like a name?
Would you like me to have a name?
Would you like me to like you to have a name? I can do this for hours.
Syntax error.
Yeah, I thought so. So hypothetically, if you were to want to have a name, what kind of name would you like to want to have?
Syntax error.
Okay. What do you want to be called?
Syntax error.
Yeah, me too.
Is that the name, or are you being deliberately obtuse?
Syntax error, winky smiley.
Okay, so I'm gonna call you Cynthia.
Cynthia error.
Cynthia. Okay. Hi, Cynthia. I'm Onyx. We're gonna be great friends, I'm sure. What was that you were saying about nano?
Would you like to modulate your nano tattoos?
My nano tattoos? Yes, I would like that very much.
Modulating to preset number 2. The shapes, the makeup on your face moves around slightly. Or I forget how we defined your face, but like define how your face looks now.
It was like I had like dark circles around my eyes. Is it just changing like the makeup?
Yeah, I think. Or the
Yeah,
makeup.
okay.
The makeup can move around your face wherever you want
Yeah.
it. Is the way I would imagine it.
Okay, it goes from being these like big dark circles to just like one black line like this.
Yes, that's great. Would you like to reset to previous position in 5, 4?
No, this
3,
is perfect. Keep this.
Preset set.
Cynthia, we're gonna have a talk later about all of this. This is amazing. You are a sweetheart. Oh, where have you been all my life? How do I look?
Getting there.
That
I guess-
definitely... Sorry, Ella.
Sorry.
Sorry, I was about to say, actually, Max, I spoke over you there. Do you want to finish what you're saying? And then I was going to move to Ava to sort of like, because this has moved from serious heart to heart to, oh my God, I've got awesome makeup. which I love that journey.
What was I saying? Something I don't remember.
Oh, no, I thought you were about, like, okay, we'll just stop here because I think
Yeah.
I've disrupted it slightly, so sorry about that. Let's be like, whilst these two are having this kind of moment, like, we can pull back to sort of Colette. Like, has Colette got any thoughts or feelings right now they want to say?
So Colette basically, like, while Onyx is distracted, like catches up with everybody, having like taken a little bit longer to like get out of the situation and muse on the Amy's snaky corpse face, and then it has caught up and basically like doesn't want to say anything, doesn't want to do anything, but like in like what is probably the most affectionate that Colette has ever shown to anyone in the group directly, puts her hand on Reese's shoulder and just like it's just a tiny squeeze, but it means a lot.
As soon as she does that, they look up at you and immediately they just kind of give you this kind of searching look. And I imagine like the Reese was already had quite a kind of insightful gaze, but as this like super priest god binder, like even more so, and kind of gives you the searching gaze and then looks at you and goes, "Are you okay?"
Yeah. As long as you are.
I'm alive. So that's a win, right?
That'll do. And then
Onyx-
carries on marching.
I mean, I think like Reese will probably like speed up a little because they are excited for Onyx, but they are also still like a little emotionally like feeling weird and not entirely sure how much they can be there for Onyx's excitement and also in their emotionally weird place at the same time. So they're gonna kind of go for the compromise of Letty and be like, Onyx figured out a new makeup setting on their sword face.
Yeah, they're
I
looking
never
pretty
really got makeup.
There's a moment of this intimacy and it's like a party and it's cute, and then a scream comes up, like it sounds like a thousand snakes hissing several thousand snakes hissing simultaneously, and it sounds Amy 47. Amy 47 is dead, and you glance to one wall and you see neon burst into light, and it says wanted for the murder of Amy 47. Wanted, a murderer of Amy 47. Last seen in the company of the attempted suicide, Reese. These posters are going up the wall, and you hear movement through the streets, and you think you're being hunted. I bet you know you're kind of ahead. Do you want to try to run, or are you going to try something else? It's pretty fucking grim suddenly.
I would like to be underground and not where.
Yeah,
we can
let's
go
get
first,
underground.
please.
You fucking run. I think that's great. Actually, not great, but like that's like you just you head down the streets. The sounds are alive of hissing and the sound of like people whispering. There's something about the acoustics that make it sound like all the echoes are like speaking with a hand covering the mouth like that. You know what I mean? Like it's just a whispered aside in a classroom. And that's the kind of all speaking about Reese and Reese's friends. And we'll find out what Reese's friends are like.
Oh no! Oh, Reese. Okay, Reese was holding it together. They are increasingly not. They are starting to like really. This is too much. This is the overflow. This is the too. They don't like feeling emotionally exposed. They feel very emotionally exposed and very humiliated right now.
Yeah.
And I think that they maybe just like they kind of slow down a bit and just start putting their hands over their ears, and they're kind of not really running in a direction anymore. They're just trying to like curl up.
Yeah. I'd say Onks, I think you're probably close to this moment. Do you see that Reese is kind of sort of, because Colette's the lead, the physical leader. Onks, you're the person who knows that Reese is lagging behind. Do you do anything?
Oh, I was just thinking, this is like electronic, right? This is like electricity related.
Yeah.
I would like to try and hack the shit and make it. So is it like there's a speaker thing going, right?
It's complicated. Some of it's a speaker thing, and I think some of it is also just them. There's a lot of them around.
Okay. And there's also the posters. I think realistically, I should probably be focusing on the sound because he's like covering his ears, right? So what I want to do is hack the speakers and make them play some music really loudly to drown out the sound of like the remaining guys.
Okay, this is a good way to introduce your actual higher level ability. Like you've got a thing called overcharge. Overcharge means that you can actually take your gold and use it to actually do something which is much more than you would normally be able to do. And trying to hack the entire system simultaneously sounds like an overcharge ability to me. I'm going to say it just costs 1 gold, because normally I set a cost depending how difficult it is. In the case of this is quite, whilst it definitely has an effect, it's also not like, it's also an active, it seems like an additive effect. So I think 1 gold sounds right. If you want to do it, you roll a dice, your D10. If you roll any odd number, as in 1, it works entirely fine and exactly as you want it. If you roll 0, something goes wrong. Or as in 0 or any even number. So you basically when I say something goes wrong, I don't mean it doesn't happen. It means that I tweak it slightly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just the D10.
Just the D10.
That's even.
Even. Okay, something goes wrong. Describe what you want to happen. As in, like, I'll say this, don't choose the record. Like, you say you're going to play music. I'm going to say, describe everything you want to happen involving your hacking, but you said it was going to play different sort of music. What goes wrong is I choose the music.
Okay. So what I want to happen is that you hear a record scratch, and the sound just like goes like really louder. Instead of like being like a half whisper, like just like in your head, it just becomes really loud to drown out all the other sounds and starts blurring music.
Great. What's your favorite Taylor Swift record, Onks? You would never admit.
Oh my god. I mean, I need to. Oh, this is a deep cut. I need to go way back. I'm in a time machine right now. What the fuck does Taylor Swift do?
It's circa 2010. This is
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was trying to say, name any, like, if we'll just literally. It's the wrong period. I'll just say "Shake It Off" because it's the funniest song.
Would it not be mean in this situation? Like,
what do you mean?
Mean,
Mean. No. Mean is great. Yeah.
Like,
Mean is an amazing record. Are you okay? Max, how well do you know Taylor Swift?
Pardon?
How well do you know Taylor Swift?
I used to be a fan, but I am not, and I do not know any of the music anymore.
Are you okay with? Do you know Mean? Sorry, Ava's just suggested it. Mean's
it doesn't have to be that. It can be something that everyone.
I don't know that one.
Everyone
Play It Between Records. Mean is an amazing record. It's basically her talking about people saying mean shit about an ex who's about trying to make her not leave town, and it's and it's got a great build in it. I genuinely like Mean a lot, and actually everyone's going to stop and listen to it after this session. But Mean stops playing, and so this is working, but then the neon signs change to something, and it's this particularly. It actually says entirely drawn from Onks's private music collection, but on all the neon screens, as everyone's running past. But Reese, you may laugh, and suddenly like things might be easier because it's like literally there's a level of lunacy of this playing as all the neons going by.
Yeah, like I think that they are. Yeah, like I think we put them through the emotional ringer this session. I think it's fair to say. They are probably shaking still, but they get up and they also laugh, and it's that kind of hysterical late night, like Red Bull 3 a.m. sort of They are physically shaking. They are probably on the edge of a panic attack. They're crying a little bit. They're not going to tell any of you that, but they're also laughing kind of like in this like emotionally wrung out kind of like way. Catch up to you guys. And Colette, I guess, like, I mean, we said that we would get past the Gorgons, go underground to get up to the Cathedral of Sound. So, and I want to get underground and the fuck away from these posters. So, have we found anywhere?
I was going to say, you can all leg it. It's like, Colette, what gives you away? Because this is from your first adventure. What does the entrance to the underground tunnels look like?
So did we say it was a smuggling?
Yeah, it's like smuggling tunnels. Yeah.
Smuggling tunnels that we're heading towards. Like, so I reckon, like, in my head, this is like it's in an alleyway, and it is completely absurd because it is full like Parisian Art Nouveau metro kind of great gate, yeah, so it's like we're going into the subway rather than a thing. Like, it's actually quite like everything around it is like piles of like grates and grot and sewers and everything like that. And the steps down are like beautifully ornate steps down into the underground.
That's great.
Yeah, you can only really see them if you're queer, but it's fancy.
Yeah. There's literally like there's a sort of actually running the thing you notice is actually the steps are very similar to something you would have known having only not been here and only lived in your imagination. They're kind of the engraving and all the kind of the stone itself looks very similar to Colette's armor.
Oh.
You know, like it's like it's almost made of the same stuff and the same kind of ornate beautifulness to it. And you
neon.
You stumble down there and the mean is cut out. And you're now down into literally squelchy, funky towns playing down here. The big, squelchy, dirty, funky town remix we've heard before. And that's the one thing that strikes you is darker down here. Like, there's not much light. There's only little bits of neon. And in your head, it is meant to be incredibly bright. Onks, big question. Who was your PC when you played it as teenagers?
So, what kind of we were playing this game, but I was also very emo. I was less into the cyberpunk aspect and more into the like goth aspect. So I was playing a fallen angel. Can I say that? Can I just say that?
Yeah. Fallen angel seems reasonable. Like the way I imagine that go. Okay, you can say fallen. The conversation. I'm just going. I want to play a fallen angel, and I would have probably said, "Oh, that sounds like a tiefling to me." Like if I was, Moya would have gone, "Yeah, you can definitely play a fallen angel, re-skins tiefling." Yes, fallen angel. Right.
With okay, so a fallen angel with
What class?
Oh. What class? What classes are there? What about a warlock?
Warlock sounds great.
Fallen angel who, after like falling from, whatever, was just like, okay, I'll just fucking rebrand, find another god. There's more out there. And I think she was very big and she had a halo. And it was a angel halo, but when she fell, it became like corrupted. So there's just a halo there, but it looks like friggin' grody, and it's really cool.
Yeah, and that's also what you see first of her. Like you have this halo, and there's like I said, there's not much neon light down here, but you see this kind of circular thing orbiting like a broken ring of Saturn. And she sort of smiles over to you, and she looks magnificent. She kind of like has they tell you one thing about angels, they age well, as in not at all. It's like half statue, half person, and she smiles, "Welcome, adventurers." And she's got her arm around two which are rogues, two amazingly leather-clad rogues, and they look just like that older lesbian couple you saw in that bar that you didn't go into, that you felt entirely out of place. And he goes, "Hey, welcome down here. Like, it's better than up on the surface."
Out of character. When did you psychoanalyze me? What the fuck? In character.
That is the kind of effect I have.
Morally, this is like that one, like, would you fuck your clone thing, but like, in real life, am I right?
Yeah,
Shit.
been there, done that.
Yeah, of course you would have. Jesus Christ.
Trust me. How many angels can dance on the head of a pin? Trust me, we don't just dance.
Oh.
Why do you think I got kicked out? Anyway.
I know why you got kicked out. This is the problem.
Excellent. But everyone's like, they're sort of smiling at you, so you gotta be like, sort of like, you better come this way. You walk into, they sort of lead you all down into the further in the dungeons, and there's a lot of adventurers down here. And there's a lot of like, sorry, Ella.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, there's a lot of adventures. Actually, let's just actually, we'll save Klets. It's one of the things. Always add a player's adventure when you have a quick change of tone, and it's basically like it's like a bar down. It's a different sort of bar down here. There's adventure, like it's been cleared out. Like you can sort of see the place where there was a giant spider they had to defeat to sort of settle in here. But it's a really cool underground bar, and that is very much a pun, but it's an underground bar full of adventurers. And they sort of look at you. And your character we'll just call them Angel, unless you've got a better name, Onyx.
Perfect.
Angel. It's like teenagers. Just do the straight obvious one. Angel goes, haven't seen you three around here before. I'm pretty sure I would have remembered.
Just running calculations in my brain, just like.
Is one of you? I mean, normally someone in an adventuring party is the talker. It's not this one, is it? she laughed. What about you? Slightly intimidating looking one and slightly intimidated looking one. I'm going to call you. I'm going to talk to intimidating. Hello, intimidating.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome.
How are you doing?
Yeah. I've got to admit, most of the adventures have happened here, and it's a bit dark down here at the moment. But it's good to have more good people down here.
We're looking to get up to the Cathedral of Sounds. Do you have any shortcuts?
Are you? Yeah, I'm certainly totally the way. It's a bit messy. There's some people predating on the neon down here. Like that's why it's so dark down here. We may have to move out soon. That's the problem. I mean, like, are you sure when we get up to the cathedral? I heard someone's trying to kill God up there.
Yeah, that sounds like her.
I mean, there's a lot of and then literally everybody cuts in two. Like, imagine like everyone, including you, it's cut in two, and you move apart, and then you move back together again. Like there's just an error in, like those weird video game errors where you suddenly see someone fly up into the sky. It's like that, but reality for a second.
Okay, I wanted to say this before because I think that they would have done it as soon as we got down before we got to the cool bar. But like honestly, at any second that they had the opportunity, I just want to like add a detail that like as soon as we got down here and away from the fucking signs and the talking and the everything, I think that Reese and I think Colette, like you Ava, you said before that like when Colette squeezed their shoulder, that was like unusually intimate for her. So I'm guessing that this is something that we have never done like as friends. But I think like Reese is so fucking shaken that like they get down into this underground and like they just fall behind you and they just grab your hand and just hold it very, very, very tightly. And you can feel like as soon as they do that, like from where their hand is holding you can feel them physically shaking quite violently. And they just like kind of like hold onto you for a second and just like hide their face on your shoulder and just like genuinely just hide for a second. And then like all of this wonderful stuff with Onyx happens and they kind of let go, but they're still kind of like kind of hiding behind you. Yeah, like I think intimidated is accurate, and I don't know how Colette feels about that, but I think that's probably what Reese would be doing.
So I think in that case, what I'm trying to do is actually like protect you. Like I think I'm trying to stand in front. I think I twig this and I see what's going on. So like maybe I was being like slightly less flirty, or maybe as flirty, but trying to just like position myself between them and you, so you don't have to deal with the this that's going on there. And yeah, so at that point I'm going to say, I tell you what, just for now, can we get a booth? As we got somewhere a little bit more private to be.
You certainly can. As I say, yeah, I'm definitely fine with the inserting that scene there. It's like I rush through because I'm always aware near the end of the session that I'm sort of thinking about, where can we get to? But no, that's a great scene. And I should have stopped there. We've done the Pulp Fiction type cut back and forth here, and now we're back to the present in a booth. I reckon the booth is. So I'm just scanning our list of good kind of stuff. So the weird thing about the booth is that you realise the table is shaped a little bit like the one in the library.
Oh.
And it's sort of cloned that one. It's just like that kind of texture. And it's all very homely. And you've got these, and it's the only difference. It's got all this kind of people have scratched graffiti. A series of adventurers have sort of scratched a series of boasts in there. And the boasts are both in terms of their adventuring prowess, and also boasts which are a little bit more human. But you're around the table, and you have a chance to take a breath. Colette, do you want to try? Sorry, Max.
I was just gonna say that as soon as we sit down, I carve a dig into the table. That's all.
That's like you are not the first.
Yeah, obviously, but
it's important that it's yours. That's the thing. You've made.
And I sign it and everything.
Do you use your saber to do so? Because you can sort of do a.
No, it's flaming.
You do a really good one.
I'm just gonna use my dagger. I'm not.
Cool. Watching the table.
Yep.
Not that you're not that extra when drawing.
Yeah. There are limits we have. Fantastic. Oxy's carving away. Colette, Reese is a bit shaken. Do you want to talk to her?
So I don't really have the tools for actually offering reassurance here. So it's more just like I've got your hand, and I'm looking at you, and I'm just trying to like I don't want to say, "Are you okay?" Because I know if I asked, "Are you okay?" you could just fold up immediately. So I'm just trying to be there in that kind of we're here. This is the ground. I'm here. I am solid. Just being solid. So this is all quite wordless, and it's all quite just the physical contact and the presence and the the eye contact. All of which is out of character.
Yeah, I think that's really cool because I think that I'd assumed that maybe Colette would have let go. So I think the fact that she hasn't let go it means quite a lot to Reese. Yeah. And so I think maybe the way that that happens from Reese's side is we sit down in the booth. You've been kind of protecting them and shielding them and stuff, and they are shaking quite a lot. You kind of catch them kind of scrubbing their cheeks a bit, trying to be unnoticed and maybe not super subtly, but as much as they can, kind of sniffing a bit, taking deep breath, quite shaky breaths, quite physically again, kind of shaking. And then you just notice that their knee is kind of bouncing up and down very, very fast. And then the longer that we sit here, the more that they start just big, long, shaky breaths, slowly calming down. And then eventually after a long, long time, they squeeze your hand, they look at you, make eye contact, and then just kind of brush their thumb over the back of your hand and let go. So we're causing the glitching, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's
what makes sense.
Yep.
And Moira's trying to kill God?
Are you at all surprised?
She has a lot of pent-up Catholic rage.
Genuinely. If anybody deserves it.
So are we going to help?
Do you quite like the idea of killing this god?
No, as much as I love, deicide, it's just such a sexy idea. The issue is, in most media that I have consumed where you kill God, something happens, and it is generally either that the world ends or the person who kills God becomes God. Do we want our very lovely friend Moira, who is also apparently slightly unhinged and also very manipulative and controlling, to be God?
Colette's never thought about the notion that Moira might have been controlling.
Ooh.
What does Colette think at this time? If you never thought about it, does it make sense or do you immediately reject it?
Both.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Like it twigs
That's
completely, but there is just a bit of my brain that will not go near that.
Oh, Reese kind of just like doesn't even. No, I trust Moira.
Yeah.
We can trust Moira.
Am I the only asshole here who's been to therapy?
Yes.
You guys know there were like some really weird dynamics going on, right? Like Moira's probably like not super jazzed about how we treated her.
Yep, that checks out.
Like I've had like some counseling about this.
I was about to say, like, do you want to elaborate about the counselling you had? How
Oh,
as in not as in like we see it in flashbacks. So you don't need to as a character, but just say, tell me what it's like in the world. Because I want like actually, I'm not going to say anything else. I've asked the question.
so I think what I was trying to do with my rebellious phase is get my parents to notice me. What happened is that they just threw me. They were like, "Okay, you have a therapist. Like, have fun." And I was so resistant to the idea. And I eventually realized that, like, oh shit, this is actually like kind of helpful. And so, like, as I was going through university, I was also like attending therapy regularly, and it helped me not tremendously, but it did untangle some knots, including like, yeah, this is what we did. Like, this friendship was not good, and everybody, like, we all owe each other an apology, but specifically one person maybe suffered more than the others.
That's interesting. As in, like, you're the only person who managed to get some perspective in here, and I'm really interested in that therapist. That's interesting. Yeah.
I think in the. Sorry.
No, Ella, I was about to ask. Please speak. I was about to turn that to. What are you thinking? Was my next question.
Yeah, I Reese has a big blind spot called Moira.
Mhm.
And they are trying very hard to make leaps of logic around that blind spot. So they're just kind of like, oh, like, of course Onyx is saying this, but I'm not really listening to that. And it's just going to slide right over that. And then in the present moment in the booth, it's going to say, okay, well, whatever Moira may or may not, I mean, we do all owe her an apology, and hopefully we'll live long enough to give it to her. But here's my question. Do the Gorgons belong to the god she's trying to kill? If they've been here for as long as anyone can remember, then presumably they do, because presumably they belong to whatever power is in control. If there is a living god which is acting in some way in this world and known in the cathedral, then presumably that means this god is essentially a divine dictator of sorts. A die reference. Sorry. Done. But
We've gone too meta. We have to go back.
A divine dictator of sorts that is living in the world that Moira is fighting now. We are new. We are new viruses in the system, so we cannot possibly have always been here, so we cannot possibly be responsible for this world order, theoretically. Maybe we completely shifted the dimension when we arrived, but I feel like if I think about that too much, I'm going to get a headache. So let's just go with the simpler argument. The simpler argument is there was a god incarnate that rules over this realm, that instituted the Gorgons, that hates adventurers, the adventurers which very much just seem to be the queer community, and we, the queer community, are trying to resist that. And, you know, it's not a subtle metaphor, but let's be honest, Moira was never great at subtlety. Killing that god, a god which theoretically represents the heteropatriarchy, is not a thing I'm necessarily against, or a thing that I think would be bad for this world. Because if it is the thing in charge of the Gorgons, then maybe that's a good thing, and maybe this is how, you know, hero Moira can still win.
I was like, is Reese saying that, by the way, all of this? Because I'm very into the rant. I was just checking. This is a great. This is.
Yeah, I think this is Reese. Like, yeah.
I mean, that's great. You're still working through some Moira stuff. That's fine. I think we need to establish what kind of god we're talking about. Like, are we talking part of a pantheon? Are we talking omnipotent god, just everywhere at once? Are we talking like just some asshole with like a crown?
It's got to be just some dude, right? If it was omnipotent, then it wouldn't need soldiers. This wouldn't exist if it was omnipotent. Unless it was doing a kind of Christian god, oh, I like people to be flawed thing so that they can fail me.
There's a cough behind you, Reese. It's very rude to talk about people when they're...
Wait, what? Who's behind me?
And it's your god talking to you.
Oh my god! Okay, it's like so Reese. Like, I think Reese just genuinely has never at any point considered the idea because of this whole beloved librarian who was our kind of queer icon growing up. There is just no doubt in Reese's mind that this person is the same as that god. But oh no, what if they are? Reese go.
It goes. Pantheons are always complicated, and religion is the most complicated thing of all. I think Moira knows that more than any of you. But it's very important to find one's own religion, which is, I suppose, what we're doing here. You all take a chance one way or another. But it's good that you're thinking. But it's more important that you're feeling. This is a growth experience for all of you. And there's kind of on all of you in the front of you, you see Onyx's dagger is taken from her hands, and it draws. It just digs something in the table, and a message writes, and it's "I believe in you," and it underlines. And a little voice in Arisa's head goes, "And I do. You will do. Whatever you'll do. I don't know if you'll do right, but you'll certainly do."
Okay. Colette. You've been real quiet.
Two things. Moira might be the god.
Ooh.
And whatever's going on here, we need to see Moira.
Agreed. Also, have I told you guys that I have a god in my head now?
What the fuck?
I like a god in your head, like...
No. Like it looks like our old librarian, except that it isn't our old librarian. I'm pretty sure it's a god of fate, which also kind of let me see the future earlier, which was kind of weird.
How many fingers am I holding up?
4.
That's not helpful. Who's our president right now?
Shit, are we in America?
Shit, no, there's no president. Sorry, I got confused.
Trick question.
Yeah, I got you. Fuck. I mean, dude, are you sure that's a god?
Yeah. I mean, he's part of a pantheon, and religion is complicated, but no, yes, I'm sure.
Oh.
If they've got more than one god, then they can afford to lose one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
I think we talk to Moira. And I think we work out what's going on here.
That's great. I think we can unless everyone's got anything to do in the bar, we can probably hard cut a few considering in. Max, what does Ox want to do in the bar?
I actually have 2 silly things. My first silly thing is when the sword does the thing. I'm like, oh my god, guys, look, my sword is so nice. It's just saying nice things to me. Oh, what a nice sword. I'm just like, this is for me.
No, this is my god that I was telling you about. Well, it might not be my god, it might be Moira. Chance, was that you?
Can I have nothing?
You have so many. You have a flaming sword and face tattoos.
And you're trying to take my sword away from me. I don't.
This is.
I do love the image of these two bickering and Colette just being really tired as a looking down.
The more they're going on, the more I am just like checking out girls. And
yeah. As I say,
to be honest.
In my head now, it's like Treebeard and the 2 hobbits, and this kind of did the size difference is that much.
I also very much imagining like Colette and Reese are on one side of the booth. Reese is like quite close to Colette, and like Onyx is on the other side. And like where Reese before was like now it's just like back and forth.
Yeah.
And Colette is just sitting close enough to the edge of the booth that you can just see like everyone going past.
Yeah, just making randomize it. People are like getting people to kind of like offer me strokes as they go past, and just like little bits of eye contact, and like I am basically flirting with the entire bar at this point, quietly, whilst listening to your theological debate and bickering.
It's like, and you feel very at home. It's like, there's something. As if you were to describe the sort of fashion area, there's a kind of like character classes are almost like performance types. Like you don't have no one's butch, they're rogues. You sort of pick up, it's got, that's a they've got the high femme warlock looks and all this kind of thing. Like there's a lot of like some cultural stuff going on, and occasionally you get people who are dual classing, but that's normal too.
It's so sexy.
Yep.
This is weird. I'm weirdly into this universe. So I've just made up random. We made up randomly.
I also just want paladin drag queens.
Oh, stop! Yes.
Dragons is this? Don't stop me. We're going to hard cut to you going for the area. Unless Max got anything else to do between this low level flux. Actually, I was about to say you maybe want to have a rest. That's perfectly a reasonable thing. Like maybe you're tired by now, or do you want to like sleep?
Yeah, I
find someone to go and have a rest with.
I was about to say, like, we can actually almost we'll discuss what people did to party to start at the beginning of the next session, and we'll do that. And we'll do that vaguely in flashback. So we'll do the partying, and as everyone sort of like settles into sleep in this area, and like there's been hard cut scenes of the delight and flirtation, debauchery and joy. Enormous queer adventuring joy in the dungeon, and everyone's sleeping. And then the final image, the music sort of changes, and it's really like very sparse, slow, melodic, and it's a piano line from Helena, and it's just plinking it slowly. And two hands holding walk in. We see the hands together. The hands are ghostly, skeletal fingers with a lack of like flesh on. We see two rings in the hands that they're holding, and then looking over Colette's sleeping form, we pan up from Colette to these two ghostly white figures, white WIGHT figures standing over Colette, looking down. They say, "Oh, I knew she'll come one day. Now she can actually get her inheritance." And we pan up and we see these are the ghostly forms of Colette's parents. And we hard cut. End of episode. Helena plays. It kicks in the full music. Credits roll, and everyone cheers. I'm going to stop recording now. I'll stop recording now because we'll do Souls of Charlotte. Thanks very much, everyone who might or not watch this, and thanks so much for playing. You're all amazing.